You have just stepped into the midlife revolution, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis, and we're two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we're here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating career shifts, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So buckle up. Let's dive into the midlife revolution. Hey, good morning, June the 11th, and it's another episode of Midlife Revolution with me, Coach Wayne, and I'm joined by the amazing Coach Stacy M. Lewis.
Yes.
Stacy, good morning.
Amazing. Yes, I am amazing. I am fantastic today, Wayne. It is always a pleasure to be here. I want to welcome those in our listening and viewing audience and those that catch the replay. Certainly, we are so honored to have you as part of the Midlife Revolution community.
Yes. Stacy, how was your weekend?
You know, Wayne, the weekends, especially when the weather is nice, it just flies by. And so I'm like, what did I even do this weekend? But I will say I planted some flowers, got my little water feature going. I'm ready to enjoy a little sunshine on the jack every now and then.
I love
it. Your weekend?
Well, we're having liquid sunshine all day today in Southern Florida. So we're enjoying that. And speaking of today's topic, Dare to Grow, the power of leaving your comfort zone. I was challenged this weekend in terms of leaving my comfort zone. Now, for those folk who don't know, a couple of years ago, Stacy, I discovered by diagnosis and testing that I had prostate cancer and had to go through the uncomfortable.
Wayne, something happened to your audio. What happened?
There
we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's okay. Start again.
Okay. So a couple of years ago, right before the summer of 2022, I discovered that I had prostate cancer. Now, for those who know me, I'm 62 this year, Stacy, but I'm the guy who works out throughout the week, does the right things in my mind. I'm a vegan, I'm doing all that stuff, and spiritually try to stay attuned. So one would say, well, how did Wayne wind up with that? Well, cut a long story short, what was important, and I'm saying this so that brothers on this chat or listening in can feel free to DM me if you want some support around that. So long story short, we did what we had to do after educating myself, studying what needed to be done, consulting with a bunch of physicians and friends who have had the disease, and wound up taking care of it. So here I am, cancer-free 2 years later, and living, loving, and laughing, and Audrey and I are having a wonderful, amazing life. So there's a lot of stigmas, but oftentimes, this is Men's Health Month, we don't want to talk about stuff like that. Sometimes, especially depends on the affliction that we're diagnosed with, we have stigmas. So I had an opportunity this Saturday to sit with some physicians, some attorneys, and a group of men, maybe about 30 men, and there were some women in the group, to share my journey and my experience. Talk about comfort zone. Very uncomfortable. I was indecisive at times leading up to it, if I was ready to do this. And I don't want nobody to judge me. and Stacy, I'll tell you what happened. I got up there, made not light of it, but was able to look at myself, my situation, my journey, and bring levity to it. And don't you know that folks in the group, a lot of men were there that had questions. Hands started shooting up. People started sharing their own journey. And I had people in my inbox after that I'm working with as they too are going through the same stuff. So today we're going to talk about that. And I felt so empowered and wonderful to have been able to bless these men. So today that's what we're going to talk about.
So important, Wayne. Not only is the subject of health and men's health and the health in the community of color important. Um, I work in breast cancer, and it is so important to have these conversations. And so I want to applaud you, not just for being cancer free. I think that that is fantastic, fabulous, and truly blessed news. And I want to congratulate you for stepping out of your comfort zone, recognizing that it's not just about us, right? It is about like what our story and our experience can do to others. And so shout out to our listening audience, to Miss Audrey, who's saying she's proud of you. And I'll just echo that pride. Congratulations for stepping out of your comfort zone.
Thank you. Thank you. And so, what we want to talk about today for folks that are listening in is especially for folks that are at the midlife level in their journey, we sometimes fall into this place of comfort. We get stuck,
Mm.
right? We are afraid to move forward, and because it's comfortable, whether it's at work or in our personal lives, we get stuck. So today we wanted to share some coaching tidbits as to how you too can move from your place of comfort to have more power and leverage in your life. And let's start off with the fact that, Stacy, when you stay in that place of comfortability, you are actually robbing yourself of opportunities
Mm.
because you are in this limited mindset. So the first thing is to move yourself away from that limited mindset to a growth mindset, knowing that being comfortable doesn't necessarily mean being at your best.
Yeah. So for those of you that need a song, need a theme song for this episode, one can be, I believe it's Vanessa Williams, Welcome to the Comfort Zone, right? The comfort zone can be a really empowering and enjoyable place. And at the same time, we can often sense when we are too comfortable, it's just like we can be too comfortable on the sofa, right? That then we get up and our back hurts or our knees hurt. So we have to really be mindful and aware of when we might be a little too comfortable. And to really assess, I love this first point, to really assess, is that comfort holding us back? Am I, staying in this place solely because of the comfort or the safety? We don't want to settle for safe. Am I staying here because it feels safe, because it feels comfortable, which also means I'm not growing?
Yeah. So we hear ourselves saying too often, nah, that's the way I've always done it. We
Mm.
may be operating with a limited mindset and we're stuck in our comfort zone, not doing enough for ourselves. The second thing that we discussed, Stacy, in the green room and want to share with our listening audience today is it begins by simply breaking the routine. Just one change to start breaking the routine that makes a difference.
Yes. And we have to remember that the one change doesn't have to be huge. When we are approaching, you talked about health earlier, as we're approaching, say, weight loss, right? And we say, I want to lose 30 pounds. Yeah, I do too. And it starts with the small changes. how can I lose 2 pounds? How can I lose 5 pounds? How can I make one small change that will make a difference? And I think it's the same with our comfort zones, not looking at it like, how can I break out of this fear? Or how can I, move like you? How can I step onto the stage and talk about my health challenges? It really started, I imagine, with that one thought, right? Challenging that one thought that said, I can do this. I can take that next step. What are some of the things, the small changes I need to make up here that will then encourage me and empower me to make the change out there, to make the behavior change?
Yes, one small step at a time. In terms of business, the professional arena, oftentimes folks are rewarded, and this is really dangerous because successful people get stuck in their comfort zone. Why? Because it means that you're usually competent, you're able to do well, and you're getting the attaboy, the accolades, because this is your comfort zone, right? But how do you move from that and take risk to get beyond their stretch goals and move to another level where perhaps you can function at what we call your zone of excellence or
Mm.
your zone of genius. And this is very difficult. And in terms of business, Stacy, we must be open to go through a learning curve. When you're leaving your
Mm.
comfort zone, it means that you're probably going to go start maybe at the beginning in the middle, but you're not necessarily at the place where you're comfortable, and you may even have to deal with some fears, trepidation, but you got to be willing to learn and go through.
Yes, yes. And the shift really does start in the mind. And as coaches, you and I, we're often using what is your mindset on, or what is your mindset today? But it is really thinking about how you are thinking about being comfortable, and how you are thinking about taking that next step, or what am I really thriving, right? You might be comfortable, but are you really living? Are you really journeying forward in this, this one time gift that we have that is called life here on earth? And so, really looking at moving out of your comfort zone, less as, um, a negative and more as an adventure, more as an opportunity to really pursue and think about, what's next for you. How can I really take these skills, like you said, on the job or even in your business? If we get too comfortable in our business, then our business doesn't thrive. Our business doesn't grow. Our business isn't healthy. And so it really is, how can I really take what I'm thinking? How can I take where I am and look at what areas I'm comfortable in, and pursue adventure in breaking out of the comfort zone?
I love it. I love that you said when we stay where we are, oftentimes we don't get to thrive because we're not breaking through. And part of being uncomfortable is to break through, right, to the other side. And so that's an important message. Thank you for that reminder, Coach Stacy. One of the ways that folk oftentimes get through with discomfort is by joining a group or joining what we call accountability partners. If you're trying, you talked earlier about losing weight. And so if it's difficult on your own, which oftentimes it is, to get up and do the things that needs to happen, consider having at least one or a couple of folk who are on a similar mission, or certainly your hooray group that can support you. If you know there's a car outside honking at 6 in the morning or waiting for you to get dressed and come down, you're going to get up. So on your own, the bed feels good, you may not do it. But if you consider joining a group that sees the vision and supports your strive or level of breaking through that might help you to leave that comfort zone.
Absolutely. I think that one is that's why you and I are coaches, right? Because we know that we thrive as human beings, we thrive, we grow in community. And whether that's a one on one conversation, a small group conversation, um, one of the reasons that Weight Watchers has been so successful is because early in its founding, it built in that decrease of isolation. It built in that let's connect and talk about where you're having challenges. Then, now a lot of it is online, but there's still that sense of you are not alone. And so many of us have to be reminded, especially I think in this season, that we're not alone. And there are opportunities for us to grow and thrive just in being in community and to break out of our comfort zone and to have encouragement around breaking out of our comfort zone. And to your point, for someone or someone's to hold us accountable to not falling back into the zone of comfort.
Yeah. And when you think about it, it makes sense. You've oftentimes heard folks say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are, right? If you want to be a millionaire, hang out with four more or a few more millionaires. If you want to stay poor, hang out with poor people, right? And the reason for that is, of course, you're going to build habits and do things and be motivated just because you're in a group that's moving along the line or the vision or the trajectory that you would like also to travel. So again, it makes a lot of sense to find accountability partners or to find your tribe as you want to
Yes.
break through.
I love
Stacey?
Finding Tribe. I love it. I just think that we really are built for community. And so we'll all be amazed. Even the introverts can find that opportunity to connect and grow with others. So give it a try.
Yeah. Then there's pairing the familiar with something new. So you want to do something new, but it's novel to you. And oftentimes, because it's novel and we are afraid of failure or we just are intimidated by the prospect of what's comfortable, we don't make an attempt. But we can pair that with something familiar to us and make it happen. I think, for example, if you want to do public speaking and you're scared of public speaking, it might be worth going with a friend who you trust. It's sort of related to what we talked about the point before, but
Mm-hmm.
here's someone who is a great public speaker that's familiar. And if that person guides you into their club as a guest, no pressure, and you're able to feel confident and have that sense of trust with being in a familiar environment with someone you trust, you're exposed to this new thing and it helps. So just pairing the familiar, whatever that is, where you're comfortable with something new.
I really like this concept. It goes back to not just the making sure you're not isolated, but also making small changes. Um, we can get comfortable, and there's a reason that space feels so safe. And there really are opportunities to tackle or to tack on something new. And I think the example that I'll use, because I just love social media, not really, um, is the idea of, okay, I'll put a post on Instagram. I like LinkedIn because it's always been about being the professional me. And so, posting on LinkedIn, not an issue. But then when it comes to Instagram, right, the concepts are identical. The concept of posting, identical. So I try to do something comfortable, post on LinkedIn, and then do something new. Post on Instagram.
Yeah. And it's
It
funny you
might
said that.
sound really small to people, but trust and believe, when it's not your jam and it's not in your comfort zone, it really is big.
Stacey, I like to have a good time just like the next person and do vacationing and traveling and all that. And in my past life, years ago, I used to set up all-inclusive resorts. I was the entertainment director for several hotels in several islands, and I was the guy. But Audrey and our cousins and friends are doing a cruise. Woo! I'm not a cruise guy. Or I shouldn't say that because I'm owning that identity. Well, I'll say I have concerns about being on a ocean locked into a cruise.
Okay.
But we're going next week for a short cruise, right? And I know. And one of the things that's going to help me is to pair the idea, even though this is not necessarily an experience I've had, I'm pairing it with the idea of what it is to be in the environment, a familiar environment of an all inclusive club where
Mm.
everything is taken care of, you're safe, in a space where you can vacate, have your vacation and have fun.
Yeah, and I love that example because what an opportunity to do something new, right? To spend time with your bride in this way that the two of you clearly have not experienced together. So there's, there's looking at it as the dreaded cruise, or there's looking at it as an opportunity to try something new, to have a new experience with someone you love. So the perspective, right? The way we're looking at something is everything.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Absolutely. And to be sure, another point is that we got to learn to accept the discomfort, the
Hmm.
initial discomfort, and the sense of uncertainty that accompanies leaving that comfort zone. Your comfort zone is kind of like your security blanket, right?
Yes.
It's what
Yes.
you know, what you're used to, and now you got to step out, and there's a sense of uncertainty in new territory. But understand that this is necessary oftentimes because you don't know. You got to find your way. So just opening up your mind, knowing that there might be some discomfort, is going to help you to get out of the comfort.
Yes. And for those of you in our listening and viewing audience, you can tell that we've crafted this episode specifically for Wayne to experience joy on this upcoming cruise. Yes, it may feel awkward, but it is so worth it for us to break to maybe put on a different jacket, right? You talked about the comfort of the cloak, right? But to try something new, to put on a different sense of comfort and really expand and kind of, let something that feels maybe a little more loose, that you can really move around in differently. So it may feel awkward at first, but I'm just believing it's going to be worth it. And anybody who's out there, I'm asking you to pray and cheer for Wayne as he takes this big step.
I think look out in the mail. Audrey's going to send you a check.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
And, Stacey, what we're talking about is challenging ourselves, right? At the
Yes.
end of the day, we set challenges and we go towards those. Each time we meet that challenge, we can either decide to sit and call it a day, or we can set a new challenge. So getting out of your comfort zone is to set new challenges and stretch.
Yeah, and it's so important for us not to, when we reach a certain age, and I'm sure we can all think back to hearing, older people say, no, this is comfortable, or this is the way I am, or this I don't need to try anything new. And the reality is that living can be uncomfortable or uncertain. It has its moments of uncertainty, and we get to decide how we are going to approach, how we are going to engage, how are we going to challenge ourselves to address our own fears and own uncertainties and own hesitancies around moving forward in ways that may not be what they were, moving forward in ways that are not as comfortable as they were. And I think those of us that are entrepreneurs and even professionals on a growth trajectory, we know that there are moments of discomfort. And it is in how we embrace those, how we really couch those in our thinking from a place of growth, to your earlier point, and realize like we get to decide how, how we approach it, whether we approach it with fear or consternation, or whether we approach it with a sense of zeal and possibility. So I'm loving this conversation, and I'm so excited about watching you and those that we both have the honor of coaching move beyond, take a step out of our comfort zone into something new
Thank
and
you for
exciting.
that. As we wrap up, two more points, Stacy. Uh, there is, it's really about making a decision. So getting out of your comfort zone is about being decisive, making a decision. We are the
Mhm.
cause of our effect by making decisions.
No, that you have to make decisions, right? We make how many decisions, right? Hundreds of decisions every day. And realizing that we do have the choice, we get to decide how we are going to approach it, and how are we going to let the feelings of discomfort govern our action. And I think that's really where the choice is. It's acknowledging the discomfort, right? You've acknowledged, I can acknowledge my discomforts. But now, what am I going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? How are we going to move beyond the acknowledgement into a place of power?
Yeah. And our take it home point, the last point before we get to the bottom of the hour, is really about calling on our past experience, our
Mm,
past performance. It's really about having the faith that we have had in the past that proved to be useful to us and helpful, because we must have had experiences breaking through comfort zones before, right? And
absolutely.
so just being able to have reference that it is possible and to hold on to that is important when we want to break through our comfort zone barrier. You have the
I
last word,
I
Stacey.
couldn't agree with you more. In my faith walk, I often remind myself that the greatest testament to what God will do is what he's already done. And the greatest testament to what moving forward, pressing through your comfort zone will be, is looking back into those times that you did just that, those times that you said, I'm going to try, times that you said, it's time to do something new, or I'm comfortable, I feel the comfort, yet I'm going to move forward. It's looking back at those times, whether they were successful or not, and saying, I did it then, and here I am now, and there was something I learned then, and whether it was successful or not, or whether it went the way you envisioned or not, you get the opportunity to decide, like we said earlier, but more important, to learn from what you've already done and said, you know what, I did this before, and I'm going to do it again, and do so in a way that's even better. So I love that last take home.
You know, Stacy, we'll leave this for another conversation, but my next step is skydiving. And it's so funny that I'm saying that because we had an experience a couple of years ago of doing indoor skydiving. It's called iFly, where there's no gravity and there's wind up to like 160 miles per hour. stimulated and we go in. And I was leading the family, and so I had to step up. But once I got in, I kept going more and more. So that was part of calling on faith and stepping through. Stacy, next week we're going to be talking a little bit about menopause and testosterone and that sort of thing and how it impacts the way we move, correct?
Yes, it's the, pause and menopause. So
That's
it is
correct.
that idea of how we both know menopause. We really think about that from the women's perspective. Yet the reality is that we all deal with hormonal changes as we age. And so how can we talk about that, amplify the voice around that, decrease the isolation around that and any shame, and really amplify that conversation. So that I'm looking forward to, Wayne.
Cool. So in between time, we're hollering at folks. If you need to reach out to us for a discovery call to see how coaching can help you level up your life, personal and professional, reach out to Coach Stacy or me, Coach Wayne, and we'll see you at the top. We'll see you next week.
And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution. Hey, we truly appreciate you spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
Don't forget, if today's episode resonated with you, share your thoughts and suggest topics in the comments. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, and hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.